Reykjavik, English, Reykjavik, Raykyvyuk, is the capital and largest city of Iceland. It has a latitude of 64 degrees 08 N, making it the world's northernmost capital of a sovereign state and a popular tourist destination. It is located in southwestern Iceland, on the southern shore of the Faxaflói Bay. With a population of around 120,000, it is the heart of Iceland's cultural, economic and governmental activity. Until the 18th century, there was no urban development in the city location. The city was founded in 1786 as an official trading town and grew steadily over the next decades, as it transformed into a regional and later national center of commerce, population, and governmental activities. It is among the cleanest, greenest, and safest cities in the world. History. The first permanent settlement in Iceland by Norsemen is believed to have been established in Reykjavik by Ingólfur Arnarson from Norway around AD 870. This is described in Landnámabók, or the Book of Settlement. Ingólfur Arnarson is said to have decided the location of his settlement using a traditional Viking method. He cast his high sea pillars into the ocean when he saw the coastline, then settled where the pillars came to shore. Steam from hot springs in the region is said to have inspired Reykjavik's name, which loosely translates to Smoke Cove. The original name was Reykjavik with an additional R that vanished around 1300. Reykjavik is not mentioned in any medieval sources except as farmland, but the 18th century saw the beginning of urban concentration there. The Danish rulers of Iceland backed the idea of domestic industry in Iceland that would stimulate much-needed progress on the island. In 1752, the King of Denmark, Frederick V, donated the estate of Reykjavik to the Innréttingar Corporation. The name comes from Danish Indretninga, meaning institution. The leader of this movement was Scully Magnusson. In the 1750s, several houses were built to house the wool industry that was to be Reykjavik's most important employer for a few decades and the original reason for its existence. Other crafts were also practiced by the Innréttingar, such as fisheries, sulfur mining, agriculture, and shipbuilding. The Danish crown abolished monopoly trading in 1786 and granted 6 communities around the country an exclusive trading charter. Reykjavik was one of them and the only one to hold on to the charter permanently. The year 1786 is regarded as the date of the city's founding. Its 200th anniversary was celebrated in 1986. Trading rights were still limited to the subjects of the Danish crown, and Danish traders continued to dominate trade in Iceland. Over the following decades, the business in Iceland expanded. After 1880, free trade was expanded to all nationalities and the influence of Icelandic merchants started to grow. Rise of nationalism. Icelandic nationalist sentiment gained influence in the 19th century and the idea of Icelandic independence became widespread. Reykjavik, as Iceland's only city, was the melting pot of such ideas. Advocates of an independent Iceland realized that a strong Reykjavik was fundamental to that objective. All the important events in the history of the independence struggle are important for Reykjavik as well. In 1845, Alþingi, the General Assembly formed in AD 930, was re-established in Reykjavik. It had been suspended a few decades earlier when it was located at Þingvellir. At the time, it functioned only as an advisory assembly, advising the king about Icelandic affairs. The location of Alþingi in Reykjavik effectively established the city as the capital of Iceland. In 1874, Iceland was given a constitution. With it, Alþingi gained some limited legislative powers and in essence became the institution that it is today. The next step was to move most of the executive power to Iceland. Home rule was granted in 1904 when the office of Minister for Iceland was established in Reykjavik. The biggest step towards an independent Iceland was taken on 1 December 1918 when Iceland became a sovereign country under the Crown of Denmark. The Kingdom of Iceland In the 1920s and 1930s, most of the growing Icelandic fishing trawler fleet sailed from Reykjavik, and salt cod production was the main industry. But the Great Depression hit Reykjavik hard, with unemployment and labor union struggles that sometimes became violent. World War II. On the morning of the 10th of May 1940, following the German occupation of Denmark and Norway on the 9th of April 1940, 4 British warships approached Reykjavik and anchored in the harbour. In a few hours, the Allied occupation of Reykjavik was complete. There was no armed resistance, and taxi and truck drivers even assisted the invasion force, which initially had no motor vehicles. The Icelandic government had received many requests from the British government to consent to the occupation, but it always declined on the basis of the neutrality policy. For the remaining years of World War II, British and later American soldiers occupied camps in Reykjavik, and the number of foreign soldiers in Reykjavik became about the same as the local population of the town. The Royal Regiment of Canada formed part of the garrison in Iceland during the early part of the war. The economic effects of the occupation were positive for Reykjavik. The unemployment of the Depression years vanished and construction work began. The British built Reykjavik Airport, which is still in service today, mostly serving domestic flights. The Americans, meanwhile, built Keflavik Airport, situated 50 kilometers west of Reykjavik, which would become Iceland's primary international airport. In 1944, the Republic of Iceland was founded, and a president, elected by the people, replaced the king. The office of the president was placed in Reykjavik. Post-war development. In the post-war years, the growth of Reykjavik accelerated. A mass exodus from the rural countryside began, largely due to improved technology and agriculture that reduced the need for manpower, and because of the population boom resulting from better living conditions in the country. A once primitive village was rapidly transformed into a modern city. Private cars became common, and modern apartment complexes rose in the expanding suburbs. Much of Reykjavik lost its village feel. In 1972, Reykjavik hosted the World Chess Championship between Bobby Fischer and Boris Spassky. Reykjavik has in the last 3 decades become a significant player in the global community. The 1986 Reykjavik summit between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev underlined Reykjavik's newfound international status. Deregulation in the financial sector and the computer revolution of the 1990s again transformed Reykjavik. The financial sector and information technology are now significant employers in the city. The city has fostered some world-famous talents in recent years, such as Björk, Ólafur Arnalds bands Mum, Sigur Rós, and of Monsters and Men, and poet Sjon. Geography. Reykjavik is located in southwest Iceland. The Reykjavik area coastline is characterized by peninsulas, coves, straits, and islands. During the Ice Age, a large glacier covered parts of the city area, reaching as far out as Alftanes. Other parts of the city area were covered by sea water. In the warm periods and at the end of the Ice Age, some hills like Öskjulit were islands. The former sea level is indicated by sediments reaching as far as 43 meters above the current sea level. The hills of Öskjulit and Skólavorðuholt appear to be the remains of former shield volcanoes which were active during the warm periods of the Ice Age. After the Ice Age, the land rose as the heavy load of the glaciers fell away, and began to look as it does today. The capital city area continued to be shaped by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, like the one 4,500 years ago in the mountain range Blafjöll, when the lava coming down the Illidar Valley reached the sea at the Bay of Illidavåg. The largest river to run through Reykjavik is the Illidar River, which is non-navigable. It is one of the best salmon fishing rivers in the country. Mount Esja, at 914 meters, is the highest mountain in the vicinity of Reykjavik. The city of Reykjavik is mostly located on the Seltjarnarnes Peninsula, but the suburbs reach far out to the south and east. Reykjavik is a spread-out city. Most of its urban area consists of low-density suburbs, and houses are usually widely spaced. The outer residential neighborhoods are also widely spaced from each other. In between them are the main traffic arteries and a lot of empty space. Climate temperatures very rarely drop below -15 degrees Celsius in the winter. This is because the Icelandic coastal weather in winter is moderated by the North Atlantic Current, itself an extension of the Gulf Stream. The climate is cold temperate subpolar oceanic, and the city is on the northern edge of the temperate zone. The city's coastal location does make it prone to wind, however, and gales are common in winter. Summers are cool, with temperatures fluctuating between 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, rarely exceeding 20 degrees Celsius. Reykjavik averages 147 days with measurable precipitation every year. Droughts are uncommon although they occur in some summers. In the summer of 2007, no rain was measured for 1 month. Spring tends to be the sunniest season, May particularly. Annual sunshine hours in Reykjavik are around 1.300, which is comparable with other places in northern and northeastern Europe. The highest ever recorded temperature in Reykjavik was 26.2 degrees Celsius, recorded on July 30, 2008, while the lowest ever recorded temperature was -24.5 degrees Celsius, recorded on January 21, 1918. The temperature has not dropped to below -20 degrees Celsius since January 30, 1971. Cityscape. Colorful rooftops line Reykjavik. Central Reykjavik seen from Hallgrímskirkja, Menntaskólinn of Reykjavik or Mr. Looking southeast from Hallgrímskirkja. Another view of Reykjavik from Hallgrímskirkja. Tjóðmenningarhúsið. View from Skólavarðustofur, Tjörnin in central Reykjavik. Ostervalur on a sunny day. View from Perlin. Reykjavik Cathedral. City administration. The Reykjavik City Council governs the city of Reykjavik according to Law No. 45/1998 and is directly elected by those aged over 18 domiciled in the city. The council has 15 members who are elected using the open list method for 4-year terms. The council selects members of boards, and each board controls a different field under the city council's authority. The most important board is the city board that wields the executive rights along with the city mayor. The city mayor is the senior public official and also the director of city operations. Other public officials control city institutions under the mayor's authority. Thus the administration consists of 2 different parts. The political power of city council cascading down to other boards. Public officials under the authority of the city mayor who administer and manage implementation of policy. Political control. The Independence Party was traditionally the ruling party for the city, having an overall majority from its establishment in 1929 until 1978, when it was narrowly lost. From 1978 to 1982, a 3-party coalition composed of the People's Alliance, the Social Democratic Party and the Progressive Party formed the majority of the council. In 1982, the Independence Party regained an overall majority of the seats which it held for 3 consecutive terms. In 1994, Icelandic socialist parties formed an alliance called the Reykjavik Coalition, which was led by Ingibjorg Sólrún Gísladóttir to victory. The alliance stood for election for 3 consecutive city council elections and won a majority in all of them, until it was dissolved for the city council election of 2006 when 5 different parties were on the ballot. The Independence Party obtained 7 members of the council, and thus failed to gain overall control, but together with the Progressive Party, and its 1 council member, they were able to form a new majority in the council which took over in June 2006. In October 2007 a new majority was formed on the council, consisting of members of the Progressive Party, the Social Democratic Alliance, the Left Greens and the F-List, after controversy regarding REI, a subsidiary of OR, the city's energy company. However, 3 months later the leader of the F-list formed a new majority together with the Independence Party. Olaf R.F. Magnusson, the leader of the F-list, was elected mayor on 24 January 2008, and in March 2009 the Independence Party was due to appoint a new mayor. This changed once again on 14 August 2008 when the fourth majority of the term was formed, when the Independence Party and the Social Democratic Alliance formed a majority, with Hanna Berner Christiansdottir becoming mayor. The city council election in May 2010 saw a new political party, the Best Party, win 6 of 15 seats, and they formed a coalition with the Social Democratic Alliance, with comedian John Nahr becoming mayor. At the 2014 election, the Social Democratic Alliance had its best showing yet, gaining 5 seats in the council, while Bright Future received 2 seats, and the two parties formed a coalition with the Left Green Movement and the Pirate Party, both of which received 1 councillor each. The Independence Party received its worst election with only 4 seats in the council. The mayor is appointed by the city council. Usually one of the council members is chosen, but they may also appoint a mayor who is not a member of the council. The post was created in 1907 and advertised in 1908. 2 applications were received, from Paul Einarsson, sheriff and town mayor of Hafnarfjörður, and from Knud Zimson, town councillor in Reykjavik. Paul was appointed on 7 May and was mayor for 6 years. At that time the city mayor received a salary of per year and for office expenses. The current mayor is Dag B. Eggertsson. Latest election demographics. Reykjavik is the largest and most populous settlement in Iceland. Present-day Reykjavik is a city with people from at least 100 countries. The most common ethnic minorities are Poles, Lithuanians, and Danes. In 2009, foreign-born individuals made up 8% of the total population. Children of foreign origin, many of whom are adopted, form a more considerable minority in the city's schools, as many as a third in places. The city is also visited by thousands of tourists, students and other temporary residents, at times outnumbering natives in the city centre. The population of Reykjavik in 2011 was 119,848, and the combined population of the capital region was about 202,341. 6 of the municipalities of Iceland are in the capital city area. Alftanes, 2,484. Garðabær, 10,272. Hafnarfjörður, 26,099. Kópavogur, 30,779. Mosfellsbær, 8,642. Seltjarnarnes, 4,445. Districts. Reykjavik is divided into 10 districts. Vesturbær, Miðborg, Litha, Laugardalur, Harley-Tjog, Bustathir, Breiðholt, Arbær, Grafavogue, Kjolans, Grafaholt og Ulfarsdalur. Economy. Borgartún is the financial center of Reykjavik, hosting a large number of companies and 3 investment banks. Reykjavik has been at the center of Iceland's economic growth and subsequent economic contraction over the last decade, a period referred to in foreign media as the Nordic Tiger years, or Iceland's boom years. The economic boom led to a sharp increase in construction, with large redevelopment projects such as Harpa Concert Hall and Conference Center, and others. In 2009, Reykjavik was listed as the richest city in the world in 2007 by The Economist Group. Major companies: 66 Degrees North, clothing manufacturer; 365 mass media company; Advania, information technology service corporation; Air Iceland, airline; Arctic Trucks, vehicle modifications; ATVR, alcohol and tobacco store; Carbon Recycling International, renewable methanol company; CCP Games, video game developer and publisher; Dagsbrun, telecommunications and media conglomerate; Decode Genetics, biopharmaceutical company. Imskipafalag Islands Shipping Company, Frisk Software International Software Company, Hager Retail Store Holding Company, Hagkaup Hypermarket Chain, HB Grandi Fishing and Fish Processing Company, Iceland Air Airline, Iceland Air Group Airline, Islandsbanki Bank, Islandsposten Postal Service, Manvite Engineering Firm, Marorka Marine Energy Management and Research Company, MP Bank NBI Bank, New Sirius Chocolate and Confection Manufacturer, Nyherji Information Technology Service Corporation, OSA Orthopedics Manufacturer, IUV Mass Media Company, Sensor Information Technology Service Corporation, Simin Telecommunications Company, WOW Air Airline. Infrastructure. Roads per capita car ownership in Iceland is among the highest in the world at roughly 522 vehicles per 1,000 residents. Though Reykjavik is not severely affected by congestion, several multi-lane highways run between the most heavily populated areas and most frequently driven routes. Parking spaces are also plentiful in most areas. Public transportation consists of a bus system called Strætó BS. Route 1 runs through the city outskirts and connects the city to the rest of Iceland. Airports and seaports. Reykjavik Airport, the second largest airport in the country, is positioned inside the city, just south of the city centre. It is mainly used for domestic flights, as well as flights to Greenland and the Faroe Islands. It was built there by the British occupation force during World War II, when it was on the outskirts of the then much smaller Reykjavik. Since 1962 there has been some controversy regarding the location of the airport, since it takes up a lot of valuable space in central Reykjavik. Reykjavik has two seaports. The Old Harbour near the city centre, which is mainly used by fishermen and cruise ships, and Sundayholm in the East City, which is the largest cargo port in the country. Railways. There are no public railways in Iceland, due to its sparse population, but the locomotives used to build the docks are on display. District heating. Volcanic activity provides Reykjavik with geothermal heating systems for both residential and industrial districts. In 2008, natural hot water was used to heat roughly 90% of all buildings in Iceland. Of total annual use, a geothermal energy of 39 petajoules, space heating accounted for 48%. Most of the district heating in Iceland comes from three main geothermal power plants: Svartsengi Combined Heat and Power Plant, Nesjavalir CHP Plant, Hellisheidi CHP Plant. Cultural heritage. The Culture House was opened in 1909 and has a number of important exhibits. Originally built to house the National Library and National Archives, and also previously the location of the National Museum and Natural History Museum. In 2000 it was remodeled to promote the Icelandic national heritage. Many of Iceland's national treasures are on display, such as the Poetic Edda, and the sagas in their original manuscripts. There are also changing exhibitions of various topics.